You know that feeling when you wake up and the sunlight is streaming through your window in that perfect golden way? Like the universe is telling you today is going to be different. That's exactly how I felt that morning in Willow Creek. I'm Elena, by the way. 17 senior year at Willow Creek High, and honestly, life has been pretty predictable. Wake up, go to school, hang out at Creekside Cafe with friends, come home to mom's cooking and dad's terrible jokes. Don't get me wrong, I love my life. My parents are amazing. Mom's always in the garden, making our little house look like something out of a fairy tale. Dad's a doctor, always busy but always there when it counts. But that morning, something felt different. I stretched in bed, listening to the sounds of Willow Creek waking up. You can hear everything in a small town like this. The birds, the distant sound of the Willow River flowing, someone's dog barking 3 houses down. It's peaceful, calm, the kind of place where everyone knows everyone, and nothing exciting ever really happens. Or so I thought. I rolled out of bed and walked to my window. October in Willow Creek is something else. The maple trees outside were bursting with these deep golden and red leaves, and there was this crisp feeling in the air that made everything feel alive. I could see Mom already outside, tending to her roses, her breath visible in the cool morning air. "Elena, breakfast." Mom's voice floated up the stairs. I threw on my favorite oversized sweater, the cream-colored one with the little coffee stain I could never quite get out, and headed downstairs. The kitchen smelled like pancakes and maple syrup. Dad was already at the table, reading the local paper like he does every morning. "Morning, sweetheart," he said without looking up. "Big day today?" "Just another day," I replied, stealing a pancake from the stack Mom was making. She swatted my hand playfully. "Sit down and eat properly," she laughed. "You're always in such a rush." But I wasn't really in a rush that morning. I actually sat down, poured syrup over my pancakes, and just existed for a moment. Looking around at my little family, our cozy kitchen with the yellow curtains Mom made herself, the way the morning light made everything glow. I didn't know it then, but I was trying to hold on to that moment. That last moment of before everything changed. Willow Creek High isn't big. There are maybe 300 students total, and I've known most of them since kindergarten. It's the kind of school where everyone goes to Friday night football games not because they love football, but because there's literally nothing else to do. I walked to school that morning like I always do. It's only a 15-minute walk from my house, and I love the route. Down Maple Street, past the old bookstore where Mrs. Chin always waves from the window, across Willow Bridge where you can see the river rushing below, and then up the hill to the school. Emma was waiting for me at our usual spot by the front steps. Emma's been my best friend since we were 12. She's got this wild curly hair that she's always complaining about, but I think it's beautiful. She's the kind of person who laughs at everything, who makes even boring classes feel fun. "Elena, there you are." She grabbed my arm excitedly. "Did you hear about the autumn fair project?" "What project?" I asked, already knowing I probably should have paid more attention in yesterday's assembly. "The school is hosting an art exhibition at the autumn fair next month," Emma explained, practically bouncing. "And Ms. Rodriguez wants our class to contribute. We need to find local art pieces to display. Paintings, sculptures, whatever. She's giving us extra credit if we can source original pieces from local artists." I groaned. "Emma, you know I'm terrible at art stuff. That's why we're going to find someone else's art." She grinned. "Come on, it'll be fun. We can explore the town, meet some artists. When do we ever get to do something different?" She had a point. And honestly, the idea of getting out of regular classes to walk around Willow Creek sounded pretty good. "Okay, fine," I agreed. "Where do we even start?" Emma pulled out her phone, already having done research. "There's this art studio on the edge of town. Willow Art Studio. Apparently, some artist opened it a few months ago. I've never been, but Sarah mentioned it once. Said the paintings in the window are really interesting." "Interesting how?" I asked. Emma shrugged. "I don't know. Mysterious," she said. "Different from the usual landscape stuff everyone does around here." Different. That word stuck with me. We got permission from Ms. Rodriguez to skip last period and headed out into the afternoon. The walk to the edge of town was longer than I expected. We passed the Crescent Cinema, with its vintage neon sign flickering even in daylight. A few couples were buying tickets for the Saturday matinee showing of some old romantic movie. "You ever been in there?" Emma asked, nodding toward the cinema. "Once," I said. "On a date with Tyler Morrison last year." "Oh right, Tyler," Emma laughed. "Whatever happened with him?" I shrugged. "Nothing really. He was nice, but I don't know. There was no spark. He kissed me at the end of the movie, and I just felt nothing." "You're too picky," Emma teased. Maybe, I admitted. But it wasn't about being picky. It was about the fact that every time a boy showed interest in me, every time there was supposed to be this magical moment, I just felt empty. Like I was going through the motions of what I was supposed to feel, but nothing was actually there. I'd never told anyone that. Not even Emma. We kept walking, past Rosewood Park where kids were playing on the swings, past the small cluster of shops that made up what we called downtown. And then, finally, we reached the quieter part of town. The part where the houses spread out, where there were more trees than people. And there it was. Willow Art Studio. The building was small, painted white but weathered in a way that made it look like it had stories to tell. The front door was blue, the paint peeling at the edges. Large windows flanked both sides, and through them, I could see soft, warm light glowing from inside. It looked lonely. Beautiful, but lonely. "This is it," Emma said, checking her phone. "You ready?" I nodded, though I suddenly felt nervous for reasons I couldn't explain. There was something about this place. Something that made my heart beat a little faster. Emma pushed open the blue door, and a small bell chimed above us. The smell hit me first. Oil paint, turpentine, and something earthy and organic. The studio was cluttered in the most beautiful way. Canvases leaned against every wall, some finished, some half-completed. Brushes sat in jars, scattered across tables. Paint tubes were squeezed and twisted, colors dried on their caps. But it was the paintings that made me stop breathing. They were everywhere. On the walls, propped on easels, some even on the floor. And they weren't like anything I'd ever seen before. They were abstract but emotional. Swirls of color that seemed to tell stories. Blues and purples that felt like sadness. Reds and oranges that felt like longing. And then I saw them. The ones that made my heart stop. A series of paintings on the far wall. They were different from the others. More deliberate. More intimate. Two figures, always two, painted in shadows and light. Sometimes they were just silhouettes, their forms barely distinguishable. Sometimes they were clearer, two women, their bodies close, their hands almost touching. In one painting they were dancing. In another, they sat by a window, looking out at something unseen. The paintings didn't show their faces clearly, but you could feel everything. The longing, the fear, the love. It was a story painted in layers and hidden meanings. A story about two women who loved each other in a world that maybe didn't understand. I couldn't look away. "Whoa," Emma whispered beside me. "These are intense." I didn't respond. I couldn't. Something about these paintings was reaching inside my chest and pulling at something I didn't know was there. "Can I help you?" The voice made both of us jump. We turned around, and there she was. Mia Morgan. She stood in the doorway that led to what I assumed was a back room. She was wearing a paint-stained white button-up shirt, sleeves rolled to her elbows, and dark jeans with splatters of color across them. Her dark hair was pulled back in a messy bun, a few strands falling around her face. But it was her eyes that caught me. Deep brown, almost black, and carrying this weight. Like she'd seen too much, felt too much. She looked at us with this guarded expression, like she wasn't sure if she wanted us there. She was probably in her late 20s, but there was something timeless about her. Something that made her seem both young and infinitely old at the same time. "Hi," Emma said, recovering faster than me. "We're from Willow Creek High. We're looking for art pieces for our school's autumn fair exhibition. Ms. Rodriguez sent us to find local artists." Mia's expression didn't change. She walked further into the studio, wiping her hands on a rag. "I don't usually loan out my work." "Oh." Emma looked disappointed. "That's okay, we can try somewhere else. But you can look around," Mia added quietly. "If you want." Emma smiled and started examining paintings on the other side of the studio, but I stayed rooted to my spot, still staring at the series of paintings on the wall. You like those? I jumped slightly. Mia had moved closer without me noticing. She stood a few feet away, looking at the same paintings I was looking at. I struggled to find words. They're beautiful. They feel real. Like there's a whole story behind them. Something flickered across Mia's face. Surprise, maybe. Or recognition. There is a story, she said softly. But it's not one I usually talk about. We stood there in silence, both looking at the paintings. And in that moment, something shifted. I felt it in the air between us. A strange connection, like we were speaking a language only we understood. Just then, Emma's phone rang, shattering the moment. Oh crap, it's my mom, Emma said, looking at the screen. She needs me home right now. Family emergency or something. She looked at me apologetically. Elena, I'm so sorry. I have to go. It's okay, I said, even though my heart was suddenly racing. Go. I hope everything's alright. Are you okay getting home? Emma asked, already heading toward the door. Yeah, I'll be fine. It's not far. Emma gave me a quick hug and rushed out, the bell chiming as the door closed behind her. And then it was just me and Mia, alone in the studio. The silence after Emma left was different. Heavier. More aware. I could hear my own breathing. The soft sound of wind outside. The distant ticking of a clock somewhere in the studio. Mia moved back toward her work table, creating distance, but I could feel her awareness of me. The same way I was hyper-aware of her. I should have left. Should have thanked her and walked out. But I couldn't move. I was drawn to these paintings, to this space, to her, in a way I couldn't explain. How long have you been painting? I asked, needing to fill the silence. Since I was young, Mia replied without looking at me. She started organizing brushes that didn't need organizing. It's the only way I know how to express things. Things you can't say out loud? She paused, looked up at me, and for the first time, I saw something vulnerable in her eyes. Yes. One word, but it felt like a confession. I walked closer to the series of paintings that had captured my attention. Up close, I could see every brush stroke, every layer of color, the care that went into each one. These paintings, I said quietly. The two women. Is this about? I couldn't finish the sentence. Wasn't even sure what I was asking. Yes, Mia said again. This time her voice was even softer. They're about loving someone when the world tells you that you shouldn't. About hiding who you are because you're afraid of what people will think. About finding moments of beauty and secrecy. My heart was pounding so hard I was sure she could hear it. Have you ever felt that? I asked, and I didn't know if I was asking about her or about me. Mia set down her brushes and turned to face me fully. We were maybe 10 feet apart, but it felt like inches. Every day, she whispered. The air between us felt electric, charged with something I'd never experienced before. Something that terrified me and thrilled me at the same time. I'd never felt this with any boy. Never felt this pull, this magnetic attraction that made it hard to breathe. I should go, I said, but I didn't move. You should, Mia agreed, but she didn't move either. We stood there, looking at each other, and I felt like I was standing on the edge of something vast and unknown. Like if I took one more step forward, everything would change. And I wanted to take that step. God, I wanted to so badly. But I was 17 and scared and had no idea what I was feeling. I started, my voice shaky. Can I come back? Maybe tomorrow? To talk more about the paintings. Mia's expression softened. Just slightly. I'm here most days. The door is usually unlocked. I nodded, not trusting myself to say more. I forced myself to turn around, to walk toward the blue door. My hand was on the handle when I heard her voice. Elena. I froze. How did you? Your friend said your name, Mia explained. When she left. Right. I felt foolish. Elena, she said again, and the way she said my name made something inside me melt. Those paintings you were looking at. I've never told anyone what they mean. But you understood them without me saying a word. I turned to look at her one more time. Maybe because I needed to see them. To know that someone else feels. Feels what? She asked gently. Different, I whispered. Lost. Like there's something inside you that doesn't match what everyone expects. Mia's eyes glistened. I might have imagined it, but I thought I saw tears. Come back tomorrow, she said. If you want to talk. About art or anything else. I will, I promised. And I left the studio, stepping out into the cool October afternoon, my entire world tilted on its axis. I walked home in a daze. My mind was spinning, trying to process what had just happened. What had I felt in there? What was that connection? I'd always known I was different. Always known that when my friends gushed about boys, when they talked about crushes and first kisses and butterflies, I couldn't relate. I tried. God, I tried so hard to feel what I was supposed to feel. I dated Tyler because he was nice and everyone said we'd be cute together. I let him kiss me because that's what you do on a first date. But it had felt like nothing. Like I was a character in a play, reading lines that didn't belong to me. But today, in that studio, looking at those paintings, looking at Mia, that felt like something. That felt like everything. I didn't realize I'd walked all the way to Willow Bridge until I was standing on it, looking down at the river flowing beneath. This bridge had always been my thinking spot. The place I came when I needed to clear my head. The water rushed below, constant and unchanging. But I felt like I was changing. Like some part of me that had been sleeping was finally waking up. Was I? Could I be? I couldn't even think the word. In Willow Creek, where everyone knew everyone, where people married their high school sweethearts and lived in the same houses their parents grew up in, being different wasn't easy. But those paintings, those beautiful, heartbreaking paintings of two women loving each other, they had spoken to something deep inside me. And Mia, the way she looked at me, the way the air seemed to change when we were in the same room. I'd never felt that before. Never felt like someone could see right into my soul just by looking at me. Elena. I turned to see Marcus Chen, one of my classmates, riding his bike across the bridge. Hey, he called out, slowing down. You okay? You look kind of spaced out. I'm fine, I said, forcing a smile. Just thinking. About the art project? Emma texted me that you guys found some cool artist. Yeah, I said. Really cool. Marcus grinned. Awesome. Hey, a bunch of us are going to Creekside Cafe later. You should come. Sarah's bringing her new boyfriend. Maybe, I said noncommittally. I'll let you know. Cool. See you later. Marcus waved and pedaled off. I watched him go, this friend I'd known since elementary school, and felt a strange distance, like I was seeing my life from the outside. All these people, this town, these expectations. And somewhere on the edge of it all, in a small studio with peeling blue paint, was someone who understood what it felt like to not fit the mold. Dinner at home that night was normal. Mom had made her famous pot roast. Dad told a terrible joke about a patient who came in worried about their acute angina, which was actually just a cute girl, according to his punchline, and we all groaned appropriately. But I felt like I was watching it all from a distance. Like I was there, but not really there. Elena, sweetie, are you feeling okay? Mom asked, concern in her voice. You've barely touched your food. I'm fine, I said quickly. Just tired from school. How did the art project go? Dad asked. Did you find what you needed? Yeah, I said. Emma and I found this artist. Her name is Mia Morgan. She has a studio on the edge of town. Morgan, Dad mused. Don't think I know that family. Is she new to Willow Creek? Moved here a few months ago, I think, I said, realizing I knew almost nothing about her. Well, that's nice, Mom said, passing the bread basket. What kind of art does she do? I hesitated. How could I explain those paintings? The emotion in them, the story they told? Abstract stuff mostly, I said finally. But really beautiful. Really meaningful. Something in my voice must have caught Mom's attention because she looked at me more closely. But she just smiled and said, I'd love to see them sometime. The rest of dinner passed in a blur. I helped clean up, said goodnight to my parents, and escaped to my room. I sat on my bed, pulling out my laptop. My fingers hovered over the keyboard before I finally typed into the search bar. How do you know if you're attracted to women? I stared at the words for a long moment before hitting enter. Pages and pages of results. Articles, forums, Personal stories. I started reading, and with every word, something inside me started to make sense. The lack of interest in boys. The way I'd felt watching certain movies, seeing certain actresses. The strange flutter in my chest when Emma Stone smiled in that one film, or when I'd see two women holding hands in a coffee shop in the city. I'd always pushed those feelings down, told myself I was just appreciating beauty or admiring confidence. But what if it was more than that? What if the reason I never felt butterflies with Tyler was because Tyler was a boy? What if the reason I felt so connected to Mia's paintings was because they were showing me a truth about myself that I'd been too afraid to see? I spent hours reading. Stories of women who'd known since they were young. Stories of women who'd realized later in life. Stories of fear and courage and love and acceptance. And slowly, quietly, in the privacy of my small bedroom in my small town, I let myself think the thought I'd been pushing away. I think I might be gay. The thought didn't feel scary. It felt right. Like a puzzle piece finally clicking into place. I thought about Mia. About the way my heart had raced in her studio. About how I couldn't stop thinking about her eyes, her voice, the sadness that seemed to live in her. Was this a crush? Was this what everyone had been talking about all these years? I looked at my phone. It was almost midnight. Too late to text Emma. Too late to do anything except lie in bed and think about what tomorrow would bring. I told Mia I would come back. And I would. Not just for the art project, but because I needed to understand these feelings. Needed to understand myself. I barely slept that night. I kept thinking about Mia, about the paintings, about the possibilities of what it all meant. The next day was Saturday, which meant no school. I told my parents I was going to work on the art project, which wasn't technically a lie. I was going back to this studio. But it felt like more than that. It felt like I was going back to find pieces of myself. The walk to Willow Art Studio felt different in the morning light. The autumn leaves were even more vibrant, the air crisper. Everything felt heightened, more alive. When I reached the studio, I stood outside for a moment, gathering my courage. The blue door was slightly ajar, warm light spilling out onto the front step. I pushed it open. The bell chimed. Mia was standing in front of a large canvas, brush in hand. She wore the same paint-stained clothes from yesterday, and I wondered if she'd been here all night. She turned when she heard the bell, and when she saw me, something in her expression softened. "Elena," she said. "I wasn't sure you'd actually come back." "I said I would," I replied, stepping inside and closing the door behind me. "People say a lot of things they don't mean," Mia said quietly, turning back to her canvas. I walked closer, looking at what she was painting. It was different from the series I'd seen yesterday. This one was more abstract, swirls of blues and grays that felt like a storm. "What are you working on?" I asked. "Trying to capture a feeling," she said. "But I'm not sure it's working." "What feeling?" Mia paused, her brush hovering over the canvas. Confusion. Fear. Hope. All tangled together. My heart skipped a beat. "I think I know that feeling." She looked at me then, really looked at me, and I felt stripped bare under her gaze. Like she could see everything I was just starting to understand about myself. "Did you come here just for the art project?" Mia asked. Her voice was careful, measured. I could have lied. Could have said yes and kept things safe and simple. But standing there in her studio, surrounded by her truth painted on canvases, I couldn't bring myself to hide. "No," I admitted. "I came because yesterday, something happened. When I saw your paintings when I was here with you, I felt something I've never felt before. And it scared me. But it also felt real." Mia set down her brush. She walked over to a small window that looked out over the river and the bridge beyond. "Elena, how old are you?" 17, I said. "I turn 18 in 2 months. "I'm 27, she said. 10 years older than you. And you're still in high school." I felt my heart sink. "Is that a problem?" "Yes," she said, but her voice was sad, not harsh. "It's a lot of problems." "Because of the age difference?" "Because of everything," Mia said, turning to face me. "Because you're young and figuring things out. Because I'm not. I'm not good at letting people in. Because this town is small and people talk. Because you're scared," I finished for her. She flinched like I'd struck her. Yes. I'm scared. I stepped closer. Your paintings. The ones of the two women. Are they about someone real? Mia's jaw tightened. For a moment, I thought she wouldn't answer. But then she nodded. Her name was Caroline, she said softly. I met her 5 years ago in New York. I was studying at an art school, and she was a writer. We fell in love. She smiled, but it was a sad smile. We were so happy. For 2 years, we were so happy. What happened? I asked gently. Her family found out, Mia said. Conservative, religious family who couldn't accept who she was. They gave her an ultimatum. Choose them or choose me. She looked away. She chose them. I'm so sorry, I whispered. I came to Willow Creek to escape, Mia continued. To start over somewhere quiet where no one knew my story. Where I could paint and be alone and not have to feel anything. But you still feel everything, I said, looking around at her paintings. It's all here. In your art. Art is the only safe place to feel, Mia said. Real life is too risky. I understood what she was saying. But I also felt something fierce rising in my chest. What if we didn't have to hide? I asked. What if we could just be honest? About who we are. Elena, Mia said, and she sounded tired. You don't know what it's like. The stares, the whispers, the judgment. Especially in a place like this. Maybe, I admitted. But I know what it's like to pretend. To date boys I don't like because everyone expects me to. To feel broken because I don't feel what I'm supposed to feel. I took a breath. Yesterday when I was here, I felt something real for the first time in my life. And yes, it scares me. But pretending anymore scares me more. Mia's eyes were shining with unshed tears. You're so young. I'm old enough to know what I feel, I said quietly. The silence stretched between us. Outside, I could hear birds singing, the river flowing, life continuing like nothing monumental was happening in this small studio. I can't promise you anything, Mia finally said. I'm a mess, Elena. I'm damaged and closed off and I don't know how to do this. Do what? I asked. Feel, she whispered. Care about someone again. Risk getting hurt. I walked over to stand next to her at the window. Our shoulders were almost touching. I'm not asking for promises, I said. I'm just asking to understand what I'm feeling. To not be alone in it. Mia looked at me, and slowly, carefully, she reached out and took my hand. Her fingers were stained with paint, warm and slightly calloused. It was just a handhold. But it felt like everything. Okay, she said. We'll figure it out. Together. The next few weeks were like living in a dream. I would go to school during the day, maintaining my normal life, my normal friendships. But every chance I got, I would go to the studio. Mia and I never officially called it dating. We never put labels on what we were doing. But slowly, carefully, we were getting to know each other. She taught me about painting. Not just the technique, but the emotion behind it. How to translate feeling into color, into brushstrokes. I would sit on the floor of her studio while she worked, watching her create. Sometimes we would talk for hours. She told me about her childhood in Seattle, about her overbearing mother and absent father, about art school in Caroline and the heartbreak that brought her here. I told her about Willow Creek, about growing up in a small town where everyone had known me since I was born, about feeling like I was playing a role that didn't fit, about the relief of finally understanding why. We were careful. We didn't touch beyond hand-holding. Didn't kiss. Mia was adamant about boundaries, about not rushing things, about respecting my age and the complexity of the situation. But even without physical intimacy, I felt closer to her than I'd ever felt to anyone. Emma noticed the change in me. You've been different lately, she said one day at lunch. Happier. What's going on? Just figuring some stuff out, I said vaguely. About what? I wanted to tell her. Wanted to share this huge realization I'd had about myself. But I was scared. Emma was my best friend. But would she understand? Just life stuff, I said instead. You know how it is. She gave me a skeptical look but didn't push. I also spent more time at Creekside Cafe. The owner, Martha, was this sweet old lady who made the best hot chocolate in town. I would sit by the bay window, looking out at the river, and think about my life. Sometimes Mia would join me. We'd sit across from each other, drinking coffee, talking about books and movies and art. To anyone looking, we probably just looked like friends. But under the table, her foot would touch mine, and I would feel that electric connection all over again. One Saturday evening, there was a small art fair at the town hall, local artists displaying their work. Mia had been reluctant to participate, but I'd convinced her. "You have to share your art," I'd told her. "It's too beautiful to keep hidden." She'd finally agreed, but only to display a few of her landscape pieces. Not the series about the two women. Those stayed in the studio, too personal to share. I went to the fair with my parents. The town hall was decorated with string lights and autumn decorations. There were maybe 20 different artists displaying their work. And then I saw Mia's booth. She was standing there, looking uncomfortable in a nice dress, her hair down for once instead of in her usual messy bun. When she saw me, her face lit up. My mom noticed. "Is that the artist you've been working with?" "Yeah," I said. "That's Mia." We walked over. My parents introduced themselves, shaking Mia's hand. They complimented her paintings, and Mia gave them a shy smile. "Elena has been very helpful," Mia said. "She's got a good eye for art." "Really?" My dad looked surprised. "Elena, I didn't know you were interested in art." "I'm learning," I said, looking at Mia. There was this moment where our eyes met, and I felt like everyone in the room must be able to see it. This connection between us. But my parents didn't notice. They bought one of Mia's smaller landscape paintings, thanked her, and moved on to the next booth. Later, when I managed to sneak back to Mia's booth alone, she was packing up. "Your parents are nice," she said. "They are," I agreed. "I wish I could tell them." "About me." "About us." "Are you ready for that?" Mia asked gently. I thought about it. Was I ready to come out to my parents? To my friends? To this entire town? "I don't know," I admitted. "But I hate hiding." "I know," Mia said softly. She finished packing her paintings and looked at me. "Do you want to take a walk?" It was late October now, and the evening air was cold. We walked through the fairgrounds, past the other booths, past people we knew. No one paid us much attention. Two people walking together wasn't unusual. We ended up at Willow Bridge, the same bridge where I'd stood weeks ago, trying to process my feelings. Now I stood there with Mia beside me. "When I was your age," Mia said, leaning against the bridge railing, "I didn't know who I was. I dated boys because that's what everyone did. I thought something was wrong with me because I didn't feel the right things." "When did you figure it out?" I asked. "College," she said. "I met someone in one of my art classes. A girl with purple hair and a laugh that sounded like music. And one day she kissed me, and it was like everything clicked. Like suddenly the world made sense." "Was she your first girlfriend?" "She was." Mia smiled at the memory. "It lasted 3 months before she transferred to another school. But she helped me understand myself." "Do you regret it?" "Coming out." Mia was quiet for a moment. "No. Even with everything that happened with Caroline, even with how much it hurt, I don't regret knowing who I am. Living authentically, even when it's hard, is better than living a lie." I looked down at the water flowing beneath us. "I want to be authentic too. I just don't know how." "You're already doing it," Mia said. "By being honest with yourself. That's the first step." She reached out and took my hand. Right there on Willow Bridge, where anyone could see. My heart pounded, but I didn't pull away. "The rest will come when you're ready," she said softly. A week later, Mia surprised me. "There's an old movie playing at the Crescent Cinema tonight," she said when I stopped by the studio after school. "Some romantic classic from the 50s. "Wanna go?" My heart leaped. Like a date?" She smiled, and it transformed her entire face. I realized I didn't see her smile nearly enough. "Yeah," she said. "Like a date." That evening, I told my parents I was going to the movies with friends. Which wasn't entirely a lie. Emma and a few others were going too, just to a different showing. I met Mia outside the cinema. She was wearing a dark blue sweater and jeans, her hair down around her shoulders. She looked beautiful. "Hi," I said, suddenly nervous. "Hi," she replied, looking just as nervous. We bought our tickets from the old man at the booth, who barely looked up from his newspaper. The Crescent Cinema was nearly empty. Just us and maybe 3 other couples scattered throughout the worn red seats. We sat in the back row. The movie started, some black and white romance about star-crossed lovers. But I couldn't focus on it. I was hyper-aware of Mia sitting next to me, of the armrest between us, of the way our hands were so close they were almost touching. Halfway through the movie, in a moment of courage I didn't know I had, I reached over and took her hand. Mia's fingers intertwined with mine, and she squeezed gently. We sat like that for the rest of the movie, holding hands in the darkness. It was such a simple thing, but it felt revolutionary. It felt like freedom. When the movie ended and the lights came up, we reluctantly let go. We walked out into the cool November night, our breath visible in the air. That was nice, I said. It was, Mia agreed. Even though I have no idea what that movie was about. I laughed. Me neither. We walked slowly, neither of us wanting the night to end. We passed by Creekside Cafe, where I could see through the windows that Emma and our friends were inside, laughing and talking. My normal life. My normal friends. And here I was, walking with Mia, living this secret other life. Do you ever wish things were different? I asked. That we lived somewhere bigger, where people wouldn't care? Sometimes, Mia admitted. But then I think, if I hadn't come to Willow Creek, I wouldn't have met you. My heart swelled. Really, she said. You've reminded me what it feels like to hope. To want something beyond just surviving. We'd reached the corner where we'd have to part ways. Her studio was in one direction, my house in another. I don't want to say goodbye, I admitted. Then don't, Mia said. She glanced around, making sure no one was watching, and then she leaned in and pressed a soft kiss to my forehead. Good night, Elena. She walked away before I could respond, leaving me standing there, my skin tingling where her lips had touched. It wasn't a real kiss. Not the kind I dreamed about. But it was something. It was a beginning. Thanksgiving arrived with the first real snow of the season. Willow Creek looked like a postcard, everything covered in white, smoke rising from chimneys, the whole town settling into cozy hibernation. My house was full of family. Aunts, uncles, cousins I only saw once a year. The dining table was covered with food, and everyone was loud and happy. But I felt distant from it all. I kept thinking about Mia, alone in her studio. She'd mentioned she didn't have family nearby, that she usually spent holidays by herself. After dinner, while everyone was watching football in the living room, I snuck out. I told my mom I needed some air, which was true, just not the whole truth. I walked through the snowy streets to the studio. Lights were on inside. I knocked on the blue door. Mia opened it, surprise on her face. Elena? What are you doing here? I brought you pie, I said, holding up the container I'd smuggled out. Apple. My mom makes the best apple pie. Her expression softened. You didn't have to do that. I know, I said. But I wanted to. Can I come in? She stepped aside, letting me in. The studio was warm, a space heater glowing in the corner. She'd been painting, I could tell. There was a new canvas on the easel, still wet with fresh paint. What are you working on? I asked, setting the pie down and walking over to look. It was different from anything she'd done before. 2 figures again, but these were clearer. One was shorter, with long dark hair. The other was taller, leaning close. They were standing on a bridge, snow falling around them. Is that? I started, my heart pounding. As Mia finished. It's us. I stared at the painting. She'd captured something in it, something tender and hopeful. Something that felt like the beginning of a love story. It's beautiful, I whispered. You're beautiful, Mia said, and when I turned to look at her, she was right there. Close enough that I could see the flecks of gold in her dark eyes. Mia, I breathed. Tell me to stop, she said softly. Tell me this is too fast, too much, and I'll stop. But I didn't want her to stop. I'd been waiting for this moment without even knowing it. Don't stop, I said. She leaned in slowly, giving me every chance to pull away. But I didn't. I met her halfway. Our lips touched, soft and tentative at first. Then deeper. She cupped my face with her paint-stained hands, and I wrapped my arms around her neck, and everything else disappeared. This was what everyone had been talking about. This was what I'd been missing with every boy I'd ever dated. This feeling of rightness, of coming home. When we finally pulled apart, both breathing hard, Mia rested her forehead against mine. "I've wanted to do that for weeks," she admitted. "Me too," I said. "I've wanted you to do that since the first day I walked into this studio." "Elena," she said seriously, "I need you to understand something. This isn't going to be easy. People might talk. Your parents might not understand. Your friends." "I know," I interrupted. "I know all of that. And I'm scared. But I'm more scared of not trying. Of wondering what if." She kissed me again, and this time it was less tentative. More certain. Like we were both choosing this, choosing each other. Consequences be damned. We spent the rest of Thanksgiving evening in her studio. We ate the pie straight from the container, sitting on the floor surrounded by her paintings. She told me more about her past, about Caroline and the heartbreak. I told her about my fears of coming out, of how my parents would react. "They love you," Mia said. "That's what matters." "But what if that's not enough?" I asked. "What if they can't accept this part of me?" "Then you give them time," she said. "Some parents need time to process. But most come around eventually. Because losing their child is worse than having to adjust their expectations." "Did your parents come around?" Mia looked away. "My mom did. Eventually. It took 2 years, but she did. My dad, we don't talk much. But that's his loss, not mine." I leaned against her shoulder, feeling the warmth of her body next to mine. "I'm glad you came to Willow Creek." "Me too," she said, kissing the top of my head. "Me too." December brought more snow and the approach of winter break. School was winding down. Everyone focused on finals and holiday plans. Emma cornered me one day in the hallway between classes. "Okay, spill," she said. "What's going on with you?" "What do you mean?" I asked, playing dumb. "You're different. You're always smiling at your phone. You disappear after school. You're being all secretive." She studied my face. "Are you seeing someone?" My heart pounded. This was it. The moment where I could either lie or start being honest. "Yeah," I said carefully. "I am." Emma's eyes lit up. "Oh my God. Who? Is it someone from school? Why didn't you tell me?" "It's complicated," I said. "Complicated how?" I took a deep breath. We were standing in an empty hallway, classes in session around us. It wasn't the ideal place for this conversation, but maybe there was no ideal place. "Emma, I need to tell you something. And I need you to promise not to freak out." Her expression turned serious. "Elena, you're scaring me." "What's wrong?" "Nothing's wrong," I said quickly. "Actually, things are really right for the first time in a long time. It's just different from what you might expect." "Okay," she said slowly. "Tell me." "The person I'm seeing," I started, my mouth dry. "It's Mia. The artist from the studio." Emma blinked. "Mia? The woman who's like, older." "She's 27, I said. "And before you say anything about the age difference, I know." "We know. But Emma, I really like her. More than I've ever liked anyone." Emma was processing. I could see it on her face. "So you like women?" "I think so." "Yes. I mean, yes, I do." The silence stretched. My heart was pounding so hard I thought it might burst. Then Emma hugged me. Just wrapped her arms around me and squeezed tight. "You're still my best friend," she said. "That doesn't change." I felt tears spring to my eyes. "Really? Really?" she said, pulling back to look at me. "I mean, I have questions. Like, a lot of questions. But Elena, if you're happy, then I'm happy for you." "I am happy," I said, tears streaming down my face now. "I'm so happy, Emma." "Then that's all that matters," she said. She grinned. Though I have to say I did not see this coming. Like, at all. I laughed through my tears. I didn't either. We spent lunch that day talking. I told her everything. About realizing I'd never really been attracted to boys. About the paintings and the feelings and the kiss on Thanksgiving. "Does anyone else know?" Emma asked. "Just you," I said. "I haven't told my parents yet. I'm terrified." "They'll understand," Emma said confidently. "Your parents are the coolest." "I hope you're right." That evening, I went to the studio. I told Mia about coming out to Emma. How do you feel? She asked. Lighter, I said honestly. Like I can breathe a little easier. One person knowing makes it feel more real. More okay. It is okay, Mia said. It's more than okay. She was working on a new painting. This one was of the autumn fair, all warm lights and golden colors. In the corner, barely visible unless you looked closely, were two women holding hands. Is this for the school exhibition? I asked. If you want it to be, she said. I thought, maybe it's time I was a little more honest too. In my art. What changed? I asked. She looked at me. You changed. You made me remember that hiding doesn't protect you. It just makes you lonely. Christmas Eve arrived cold and clear. My house was decorated, a tree in the corner twinkling with lights. The smell of my mom's cookies filled every room. But all I could think about was the conversation I needed to have. I decided to tell my parents. Tonight. Before I lost my courage. After dinner, after the dishes were washed and the house had settled into that cozy evening quiet, I asked them to sit with me in the living room. What's this about, sweetheart? Dad asked, concern in his eyes. My mom sat next to him on the couch, holding his hand. They looked so perfect together, so secure in their love. I hoped they could understand that I'd found something similar, even if it looked different than what they expected. I need to tell you something, I started, my voice shaking. And it's really important that you hear me out before you say anything. Elena, you're scaring us, Mom said. What's wrong? Nothing's wrong, I said. Actually, something's really right. But it's different. I took a deep breath. I've been spending a lot of time at Mia's art studio. The artist I told you about. And we've become close. That's nice, honey, Dad said, looking confused about where this was going. More than close, I continued. We're together. Dating. And before you worry about the age difference, I know it's something we have to be careful about. But that's not the main thing I need to tell you. I looked at them, these two people who'd raised me, loved me, supported me my entire life. I'm gay, I said. The words came out stronger than I expected. I like women. And I've probably always been gay. I just didn't understand it until recently. The silence was deafening. My parents looked at each other, then back at me. How long have you known? Mom finally asked. A couple months, I said. Since I met Mia. She helped me understand feelings I'd been having for years but didn't know how to name. Dad cleared his throat. This artist. Mia. She's 10 years older than you. I know, I said. And we're being careful. She's not taking advantage of me, if that's what you're worried about. She actually tried to keep distance because of my age. But I really care about her. Elena, Mom said, and I braced myself for anger or disappointment. But when I looked at her, there were tears in her eyes. Oh, sweetheart, thank you for telling us. You're not mad? I asked. Mad, Dad said. Elena, you're our daughter. We love you. That doesn't change. But I'm gay, I said, as if they hadn't heard me. I'm dating a woman. This isn't what you expected. No, Mom admitted. It's not. But Elena, all we've ever wanted is for you to be happy, to be yourself. If this is who you are, then we support you. The relief was overwhelming. I started crying and then Mom was hugging me and Dad joined in, and we were all crying together in our living room on Christmas Eve. I was so scared, I admitted through tears. So scared you'd be disappointed. Never, Dad said firmly. You could never disappoint us by being honest about who you are. Though we do need to talk about this relationship, Mom said gently. Not because it's with a woman, but because of the age difference. That concerns us. I understand, I said. And I want you to meet her. Really get to know her. She's amazing and she makes me happy. Then we'll meet her, Mom said. But slowly, okay? Let us process this. Let's take it one step at a time. I nodded. That was fair. That was more than fair. Later that night, lying in bed, I texted Mia. I told them. Her response came quickly. How did it go? Better than I hoped. They want to meet you. Dots appeared and disappeared. Appeared and disappeared. Finally, I'd be honored. The week between Christmas and New Year was strange. My parents were trying, I could tell. They asked careful questions about Mia, about how we met, about my feelings. They weren't perfect. Sometimes I saw worry in their eyes, concern about the age gap, about me coming out in a small town, about all the challenges ahead. But they were trying. And that was enough. I invited Mia over for dinner on New Year's Eve. She was terrified. What if they hate me? She asked, pacing around her studio. What if they think I'm corrupting their daughter? They won't, I assured her. Just be yourself. They'll love you. Dinner was awkward at first. My parents were overly polite, asking surface-level questions about Mia's art, about her studio, about Willow Creek. Mia answered everything carefully, clearly nervous. But then Dad asked about her technique for oil painting, and Mia lit up talking about it. And Mom mentioned she'd always wanted to try painting, and Mia offered to teach her. And slowly, the tension eased. After dinner, Mia helped me wash dishes while my parents went to the living room. That wasn't so bad, she said quietly. They like you, I said. I can tell. They're worried about you, Mia said. About us. I can tell that too. They'll come around, I said. They just need time. Later, we all sat in the living room, watching the countdown to midnight on TV. When the clock struck 12, my parents hugged each other, kissed, and then hugged me. Happy New Year, sweetheart, Mom said. Mia and I exchanged a look. We couldn't kiss, not in front of my parents. Not yet. But she took my hand and squeezed it, and that was enough. Happy New Year, I whispered to her. By February, news had spread through Willow Creek. Small towns being what they are, people talk. At first, it was whispers. Then it was stares. Then it was direct comments. Some people were supportive. Martha at the cafe always made sure to seat us at our favorite table. Mrs. Chen from the bookstore gave me a hug one day and told me she was proud of me. But others weren't as kind. I heard the whispers at school. The way conversations stopped when I walked by. Some parents started looking at me differently when I'd come over to pick up Emma. The worst was Jason Miller, a guy from my class who'd asked me out sophomore year and I'd turned down. Makes sense now, he said loudly in the cafeteria one day. Why you rejected me? You're not into real relationships. I felt my face burn with shame and anger. Before I could respond, Emma stood up. Shut up, Jason, she said. Elena is in a real relationship. More real than anything you've ever had. Just because you can't handle rejection doesn't mean you get to be a jerk. Other people at our table nodded in agreement. Marcus Chen, Sarah Rodriguez, even Tyler Morrison, who I dated briefly, all backed Emma up. We've got your back, Tyler said quietly to me later. Don't let people like Jason get to you. It wasn't always easy. There were hard days. Days when I wanted to hide, to take it all back, to make myself invisible again. But then I'd go to the studio. I'd see Mia painting, creating beauty out of pain, and she'd look at me with those dark eyes full of understanding, and I'd remember why I'd chosen honesty. It gets easier, she told me one afternoon. The stares, the comments. Eventually, you stop caring what they think. When? I asked. When you realize that living your truth is worth more than their approval. In March, the school's art exhibition finally happened. Ms. Rodriguez had been incredibly supportive, and she'd given Mia's work a prominent place in the display. Mia had chosen carefully which paintings to show. Some landscapes, some abstract pieces. And then, in the center, the painting of the two women on the bridge in the snow. The one of us. Opening night. The gym was packed with students, parents, and townspeople. Everyone walked around, admiring the art, drinking punch, eating cookies. I stood next to Mia in front of our painting. Are you sure about this? She asked me quietly. Once people see this, they'll know for certain. I'm sure, I said. I'm tired of hiding. People stopped to look at the painting. Some smiled. Some frowned. Some just stared and moved on. My parents came over, looking at the painting for a long moment. It's beautiful, Mom said finally. Really beautiful. Mia and I exchanged a look. Thank you, Mia said. Later, as the crowd thinned, Principal Harris approached us. Ms. Morgan, she said. This is exceptional work. Really moving. Thank you, Mia said. Principal Harris looked at me. Elena, your end-of-year project about finding local artists exceeded all expectations. Well done. As she walked away, Mia let out a breath she'd been holding. I think we're going to be okay, she said. I think so too, I agreed. Spring in Willow Creek was magical. The snow melted, revealing green underneath. Flowers bloomed in Mom's garden. The river ran high and fast from the melt. I was finishing senior year. College applications were submitted. I'd gotten into several schools, including one in the city where Mia had gone to art school. Are you going to go? She asked me one afternoon in the studio. Would you come with me? I asked. She looked surprised. Elena, I can't ask you to make that decision based on me. This is your future. You're my future, I said simply. You're 18, she said gently. You have your whole life ahead of you. So do you, I pointed out. And I want to spend it with you. Is that so wrong? She was quiet for a long moment. I'm scared. Of holding you back. Of you resenting me someday. I could never resent you, I said. Mia, you helped me find myself. You taught me what it means to be brave. To be honest. You did that yourself, she said. We did it together, I corrected. She pulled me close, wrapping her arms around me. We'd gotten better at this. At showing affection. At being a couple. And not caring so much about who saw. If you go to the city, she said, I'll come with you. I can paint anywhere. Really? Really, she said. Because Elena, you're my future too. Prom was in May. I hadn't planned on going. It seemed like such a straight tradition, such a heteronormative event. But Emma convinced me. Come on, she said. We're seniors. We have to go. You can bring Mia. Bring Mia to prom? I said. She's 27. That's weird. So bring me as your date, Emma said. As friends. Mia can't go, but we can. Let's have one last high school memory. So I went to prom with Emma. We wore matching dresses, purple for her, navy for me. We took pictures in Mom's garden before we left. The gym was decorated with streamers and lights. Music played loud enough to shake the floor. Everyone was dancing, laughing, having the time of their lives. Emma and I danced together. Not slow dancing, just fun friend dancing. Jumping around, being silly, enjoying our last high school event. But then a slow song came on. All around us, couples paired up. Emma looked at me. Do you wish Mia was here? She asked. Yeah, I admitted. But this is good too. Being here with you. You're my best friend, Emma said. I'm really proud of you. For being so brave this year. I learned from the best, I said, meaning it. After prom, instead of going to the after party, I went to the studio. Mia was still awake, painting by lamplight. How was it? She asked when I came in. It was fun, I said. But I missed you. I was still wearing my dress, hair still done up fancy. Mia looked at me like I was a work of art. Dance with me? I asked. There's no music, she said. So we'll make our own. She set down her brush and came over. I pulled up a slow song on my phone. And there, in the studio surrounded by paintings and paint smell and perfect solitude, we danced. I wish I could take you to all these things, I said. I wish we could be a normal couple. We are a normal couple, Mia said. We're just figuring out what that means for us. When I go to college, I said, when we move to the city, will things be easier? In some ways, she said. But Elena, there will always be challenges. That's part of choosing a life outside the norm. But we'll face them together? Together, she promised. Graduation day arrived sunny and warm. The ceremony was held outside on the football field. Rows of chairs for graduating seniors. More rows for families and friends. I sat between Emma and Marcus, wearing my cap and gown, feeling surreal. This chapter of my life was ending. A new one was about to begin. I scanned the crowd and found my parents. Mom was crying already, even though the ceremony hadn't started. Dad had his arm around her. And then I saw Mia. She was standing at the back, away from the main crowd. But she was there. She'd come. When they called my name, I walked across the stage, shook Principal Harris's hand, took my diploma. The crowd applauded. As I walked back to my seat, I looked at Mia. She was clapping, smiling, and I could see tears in her eyes. After the ceremony, my parents found me first. More hugging and crying. We're so proud of you, Dad said. You're going to do amazing things, Mom added. Then Emma, Marcus, Sarah, all my friends. Pictures and laughter and promises to stay in touch. Finally, I managed to find Mia at the edge of the crowd. You came, I said. Of course I came, she said. I wouldn't miss this. Thank you, I said. For everything. For helping me become who I am. You did that yourself, she said. I just provided the space for you to discover it. My parents came over then, and I tensed slightly. But Mom smiled at Mia. Would you like to join us for dinner? She asked. We're celebrating at Elena's favorite restaurant. Mia looked surprised. Are you sure? You're part of her life, Dad said. That makes you part of ours. It wasn't a full acceptance. Not yet. But it was progress. It was them trying. And that meant everything. That summer was golden. Literally. The sun seemed to shine every day, turning everything in Willow Creek into warm amber light. I worked part-time at Creekside Cafe, saving money for college. Mia painted and prepared for our move to the city in August. We spent every spare moment together. We'd go to Rosewood Park and have picnics. Walk across Willow Bridge at sunset. Sometimes we'd just sit in the studio, me reading while she painted, existing together in comfortable silence. One day in July, Mia asked me to come to the studio. She had something to show me. When I arrived, she led me to the back room I'd never been in before. It was filled with canvases, dozens of them, all covered with sheets. What is this? I asked. My truth, she said. Everything I've been too afraid to show. She started uncovering the paintings. One by one, revealing her hidden work. They were all of love. Different kinds of love. 2 women kissing. 2 women holding hands. 2 women growing old together. Some were sad, showing heartbreak and loss. Others were joyful, showing celebration and pride. Every painting told a story about queer love, about its beauty and its pain, about hiding and being found, about shame and pride, about ending and beginning. These are incredible, I breathed. Why have you been hiding them? Fear, Mia admitted. After Caroline, after everything fell apart, I convinced myself that showing this part of me would only lead to more pain. What changed? I asked. She looked at me. You made me remember that visibility matters. That our stories deserve to be told. What are you going to do with them? I'm going to have a showing, she said. In the city. This fall. A whole exhibition about queer love and identity. My eyes filled with tears. Mia, that's amazing. I want you to be there, she said. On opening night. By my side. I wouldn't miss it for the world. She pulled me close. I love you, Elena. I don't think I've said that out loud yet. But I love you. My heart felt like it might burst. I love you too. We kissed there, surrounded by her truth, by our story painted in oils and canvas and color. August arrived too quickly. Moving day came with mixed emotions. I was excited for college, for the city, for the new adventures ahead. But saying goodbye to Willow Creek, to this place that had been my entire world, was harder than I expected. Mom helped me pack. We folded clothes and wrapped picture frames and filled boxes with my life. You know, she said at one point, when you were born, I had all these plans for you. Who I thought you'd be, what your life would look like. I tensed, not sure where this was going. But watching you this year, she continued, watching you discover yourself and be brave enough to live authentically. I realized my plans were never as good as the person you actually are. Mom, I said, tears starting. I'm proud of you, she said firmly. I need you to know that. Your father and I are so proud of who you've become. We hugged, both of us crying. That evening, I walked through Willow Creek one last time. Past the high school. Past Creekside Cafe. Past the Crescent Cinema. Over Willow Bridge, where I stood and looked down at the water, remembering that day months ago when I'd stood here trying to understand my own heart. Finally, I went to the studio. Mia was there, packing up her own things. Ready? She asked. Almost, I said. I just need a minute. I looked around the studio. This place had changed my life. This was where I'd first seen those paintings that spoke to my soul. where I'd first felt that electric connection with Mia, where I'd slowly, carefully fallen in love. Thank you, I said to the space itself, for being my safe place. Mia came over and took my hand. We're taking it with us. This feeling, this safety. It's not about the place. It's about us. I know, I said. I'm ready now. We locked up the studio for the last time. Tomorrow, movers would come for Mia's things. Tonight, we'd spend our last evening in Willow Creek. We walked through town holding hands. Let people see us. Let them think what they wanted to think. Because we'd already decided. We chose each other. We chose honesty. We chose love. The city was everything Willow Creek wasn't. Big, loud, anonymous. Nobody knew us here. Nobody cared who we loved. It was liberating and terrifying all at once. My dorm room was small but mine. Mia found a studio apartment nearby with huge windows perfect for painting. We weren't living together, not yet. We were taking things slow, doing things right. College was overwhelming at first. So many people, so many classes, so many opportunities. But I also found community. An LGBTQ+ student group that met every Tuesday. People who understood what it was like to come out, to navigate identity, to love outside the norm. I made new friends. Alex, who was non-binary and studying poetry. Jasmine, who was bisexual and played guitar. David, who was gay and had come out in middle school and had stories that made mine seem easy by comparison. For the first time in my life, I wasn't the only one. I wasn't different or strange. I was just me. One person among many, all of us figuring out who we were and who we wanted to be. Mia thrived too. Her studio became her sanctuary. She painted constantly, preparing for her exhibition. Sometimes I'd skip afternoon classes and go to her place, doing homework while she worked. "You're procrastinating," she'd say without looking up from her canvas. "I'm finding inspiration," I'd counter, and she'd smile. One October evening, exactly 1 year after I'd first walked into her studio in Willow Creek, Mia called me. "Can you come over?" she asked. "I have something to show you." When I arrived at her studio, she was standing in front of a canvas covered with a sheet. She looked nervous, excited, vulnerable all at once. "What is it?" I asked. "The final piece for the exhibition," she said. "I finished it today." She pulled off the sheet, and my breath caught. It was us. But not just us. It was our story. The painting was divided into panels, like a comic book or a stained glass window. Each panel showed a moment from our journey. The first panel, a girl standing in a doorway, looking at paintings with wonder. The second, 2 women, one older, one younger, reaching toward each other but not quite touching. The third, holding hands in the darkness of a movie theater. The fourth, a first kiss in a paint-stained studio. The fifth, coming out, standing in front of parents with fear and hope. The sixth, dancing together while the world spun around them. The seventh, graduation, new beginnings, choosing each other. And the final panel, 2 women walking toward a future filled with light, their hands intertwined, both of them free. "Mia," I whispered. "It's perfect." "It's us," she said. "Our story. I want the world to see it." "What's it called?" I asked. She smiled. "Becoming. Because that's what we've been doing. Becoming ourselves. Becoming us." I walked over and hugged her tight. "I love you so much." "I love you too," she said into my hair. "Thank you for being brave enough to walk into that studio a year ago." "Thank you for being brave enough to let me in," I replied. Mia's exhibition opened on a Friday night in November. The gallery was in the Arts District, a beautiful space with white walls and perfect lighting. The invitation read, "Hidden Stories, A Journey Through Queer Love and Identity by Mia Morgan." I wore a dress Mia had helped me pick out. Navy blue, elegant but not too formal. My hair was down, and for the first time, I wore a small rainbow pin on my lapel. My parents came. They'd driven 4 hours from Willow Creek to be there. Emma came too, bringing her new girlfriend, a girl named Rachel from her college. The gallery filled with people. Art critics, collectors, other artists, students from my school. Everyone walking through, looking at Mia's truth displayed on the walls. The paintings told so many stories. Some were her story with Caroline. Others were imagined, showing queer couples through history. Some were joyful celebrations of pride and love. Others were painful reminders of persecution and loss. And in the center of the exhibition, lit with perfect spotlights, was Becoming, our painting. People stopped in front of it, reading the placard that explained it was autobiographical. Some smiled. Some teared up. Some stood there for a long time, seeing themselves in our story. A reporter from the local arts magazine approached us. "Ms. Morgan, this exhibition is incredibly powerful," she said. "What inspired you to create such personal work?" Mia looked at me, then back at the reporter. For a long time, I hid who I was. I painted my truth but kept it locked away. Then I met someone who reminded me that visibility matters. That our stories deserve to be told, not hidden. "And you," the reporter turned to me. "You're featured in the central piece. What does it mean to you to have your story displayed so publicly?" A year ago, I would have been terrified by this question. But now, standing in this gallery surrounded by acceptance and understanding, I felt only pride. "It means everything," I said. Growing up in a small town, I never saw stories like mine. I never saw paintings of two women falling in love. I felt alone and broken. But this, I gestured around the gallery. This shows people that they're not alone. That love is love, no matter what form it takes. The reporter smiled. "Beautiful. Thank you both." Later, when the crowd had thinned, my parents came over to where Mia and I were standing in front of Becoming. "This is remarkable," Dad said, looking at the painting. "Really, truly remarkable. You captured something special," Mom added, her voice thick with emotion. "The way you painted Elena's journey. I can see every moment. Every fear, every triumph." "Thank you for coming," Mia said. "It means a lot. To both of us." My dad cleared his throat. "Mia, when you first started seeing Elena, I'll be honest, I was concerned. About the age difference, about everything happening so fast. But watching you two together, seeing how you've supported each other, how you've helped Elena grow into herself. I was wrong to worry. We both were," Mom added. "You're good for each other. You bring out the best in each other." Mia's eyes glistened with tears. "Thank you. That means more than you know." My mom hugged us both. "We love you. Both of you." December brought snow to the city. Not the quiet, peaceful snow of Willow Creek, but aggressive, bustling city snow that turned to slush on the sidewalks. Finals were approaching. My first semester of college was almost over. I'd aced most of my classes, made friends, joined clubs, started to build a life. But the best parts were still the quiet moments with Mia. We'd established routines. Coffee on Tuesday mornings before my early class. Dinner on Thursday nights, alternating who cooked. Lazy Sundays where we'd stay in bed until noon, talking about everything and nothing. One Saturday, Mia surprised me. "Pack a bag," she said when I answered her call. "We're going on a trip." "A trip where?" "It's a surprise. Just bring warm clothes." 2 hours later, we were in a rental car, driving north out of the city. Snow fell softly, covering everything in white. "Are you going to tell me where we're going?" I asked. "Patience," Mia said, smiling mysteriously. We drove for 3 hours, music playing softly, the world passing by outside. Finally, we pulled into a small town. Not Willow Creek, but similar. Quiet, peaceful, covered in snow. Mia parked in front of a small inn. It looked like something from a Christmas movie, with reeds on the door and lights in the windows. "What is this?" I asked. "A weekend away," Mia said. "Just us. No school, no work, no obligations. Just you and me and time together." The inn was cozy inside. A fireplace crackled in the common room. Our room was small but perfect, with a big bed, a window overlooking snowy trees, and a feeling of complete peace. That night, we bundled up and walked through the town. It was decorated for Christmas, lights strung everywhere, storefronts glowing warmly. We held hands, our breath visible in the cold air. "This is perfect," I said. "Thank you for bringing me here." "I wanted to give us a memory," Mia said. "Something just for us." We found a small restaurant and had dinner by candlelight. We talked about everything. About our childhoods, our dreams, our fears. About the future we wanted to build together. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Mia asked. With you, I said without hesitation. I don't know what I'll be doing for work, or where we'll be living, or what our lives will look like. But I know I want you in it. Even when I'm 32 and you're still only 23, she teased gently. Even then, I said. Age is just a number, Mia. What matters is how we feel about each other. And how do you feel? She asked. Like I found my person, I said. Like I found home. She reached across the table and took my hand. I found home too. That night, lying in the inn room with snow falling outside, Mia held me close. I want to tell you something, she said. About Caroline. I turned to look at her. Okay. I thought she was my forever, Mia said. When she chose her family over me, I was devastated. I thought I'd never recover. I moved to Willow Creek to hide from the pain, to give up on love entirely. But, I prompted gently. But then this 17-year-old girl walked into my studio, she continued, smiling. And she looked at my paintings like they were showing her the secrets of the universe. And slowly, without meaning to, I fell in love again. My heart swelled. I fell in love too. The first time in my life. The first time is always the most terrifying, Mia said, but also the most beautiful. Do you think we'll make it? I asked. Long term. I think, Mia said carefully, that we'll face challenges. That there will be hard days. But Elena, what we have is real. It's worth fighting for. Then we'll fight, I said. Together. Spring semester brought new challenges. My classes were harder. I was considering majoring in art history, inspired by everything I'd learned from Mia. Mia's exhibition had been a success. A gallery in another city wanted to host it. An art magazine did a feature article. She was getting recognition, building a career. We were both growing, changing, becoming more of who we were meant to be. One April evening, Mia and I went to a queer poetry reading at a local bookstore. The room was packed with people, all different ages, all part of the community. Poets stood up one by one, sharing words about love and identity and struggle and triumph. I listened, feeling connected to every story. Then the host said, "Do we have any first-time readers tonight? Anyone brave enough to share?" Before I knew what I was doing, I raised my hand. Mia looked at me surprised. I'd been writing little poems and observations, but I'd never shared them with anyone except her. "Come on up," the host said warmly. I walked to the front, my paper shaking in my hands. The room was full of expectant faces. "Hi," I said. "My name is Elena, and this is about coming out." I read the poem I'd written. About small towns and secret feelings. About paintings that spoke truth when words failed. About finding love in unexpected places. About becoming who you were always meant to be. When I finished, the room erupted in snaps and applause. I looked at Mia. She was crying, smiling, so proud. Afterwards, people came up to me, shared their stories, thanked me for sharing mine. An older woman, probably in her 60s, hugged me. "When I was your age," she said, "I couldn't even say the word lesbian out loud. Seeing young people like you, being so open, so proud, it gives me hope." Driving home that night, Mia held my hand. "You were incredible," she said. "I learned from the best," I replied. "You taught me that visibility matters. That our stories deserve to be told." "We taught each other," she corrected. As the semester ended, we had to make decisions about summer. I'd been offered an internship at a gallery in the city. Mia had been invited to do a residency program in another state. We'd be apart for 2 months. The longest we'd been separated since we met. "What do you want to do?" Mia asked as we sat in her studio, discussing our options. "I want you to take the residency," I said. "It's an amazing opportunity. But I'll miss you," she said. "I'll miss you too," I admitted. "But Mia, we can't live in each other's pockets forever. We need to have our own lives, our own growth." "When did you get so wise?" she teased. "I have a good teacher," I said. So we decided. She'd go to her residency. I'd do my internship. We'd video chat every day, visit when we could, and trust that what we had was strong enough to withstand the distance. The day before she left, we went back to Willow Creek. It was the first time we'd been back since moving away. The town looked the same but felt different. Smaller somehow. Like we'd outgrown it. We visited Martha at Creekside Cafe. She hugged us both, told us how proud she was of us. We walked across Willow Bridge, remembering that first year of discovery and fear and falling in love. Finally, we went to the old studio. Someone else had rented it now, a pottery artist. But we stood outside, looking at the blue door. "This is where it all started," I said. "This is where you saved me," Mia said. "I was so lost when I came here. So broken. And then you walked through that door and reminded me what it felt like to hope." "You saved me too," I said. "You helped me find myself." "We saved each other," Mia said, pulling me close. We kissed there, in front of the studio, in front of anyone who might see. Not hiding. Not ashamed. Just two people in love. Summer apart was hard. Harder than I expected. I'd gotten so used to having Mia nearby, to being able to see her whenever I wanted. Now I had to settle for video calls and text messages and the occasional weekend visit when we could afford the travel. But we made it work. We sent each other pictures. Little updates throughout the day. Good morning texts and good night voice messages. My internship at the gallery was incredible. I learned about curation, about art history, about the business side of the art world. My supervisor, a woman named Patricia who'd been in the industry for 30 years, became a mentor. "You have a good eye," she told me one day. "And you understand the emotional impact of art. That's rare." "I learned from someone special," I said. "Your girlfriend?" "The painter." I nodded, still getting used to saying it so openly. "Mia. She taught me to see art as more than just pretty pictures. To understand the stories behind them." "She sounds remarkable," Patricia said. "You should bring her by when she's back in town." Mia's residency was going well too. She sent me pictures of new paintings she was working on. Bold, colorful pieces about growth and transformation. About caterpillars becoming butterflies. About seasons changing. About endings that were really beginnings. "I miss you," she'd say during our video calls. "I miss you too," I'd reply. But we're almost halfway through. In July, she came to visit for a long weekend. I met her at the train station, and when I saw her, I ran into her arms. "You're here," I said into her neck. "I'm here," she confirmed, holding me tight. We spent that weekend exploring the city together. I showed her my favorite spots I'd discovered, the hidden gardens and tiny bookstores and perfect coffee shops. She told me about the other artists at the residency, about the work she was creating, about how much she was learning. "I'm proud of you," I told her, "for taking this opportunity. For growing." "I'm proud of you too," she said. "Look at you, working at a gallery, building a career. You're amazing, Elena." Sunday night came too quickly. I went with her to the train station, both of us trying not to cry. "Only one more month," she said. "One more month," I repeated. "We can do this." "I love you," she said. "I love you too." The train pulled away, and I stood on the platform, watching it disappear. Then I went home to my empty dorm room and cried. But the next morning, I woke up to a text from her, "Good morning, beautiful. One day closer to being together again." And I smiled. Because she was right. We could do this. August arrived with heat and humidity. The city felt like a sauna. But I barely noticed because Mia was coming home. I cleaned my dorm room obsessively. Changed my sheets. Bought fresh flowers. Made sure everything was perfect. When she knocked on my door, I threw it open and pulled her inside, kissing her before she could even say hello. "I missed you," I said between kisses. "I missed you so much." "I missed you too," she laughed, holding me close. "God, you feel so good." We spent that first day just being together. Lying in my bed, catching up, touching constantly like we had to make sure the other was real. "Tell me everything," I said. About the residency, the art, the people. She told me stories about the other artists, about late-night conversations and collaborative projects, about a sculpture garden and a visiting lecturer who'd changed how she thought about color theory. "But the best part," she said, "was coming back to you." The next day, she showed me the paintings she'd made over the summer. They were different from her earlier work. More confident. More joyful. Less about hiding and more about celebrating. They're incredible, I breathed. Mia, you've grown so much. So have you, she said, pulling out her phone. Patricia, your supervisor, she emailed me. Asked if I'd be interested in doing a showing at your gallery. My eyes widened. Really? Really? Mia grinned. She said you'd been talking me up all summer. Because you're talented, I said. And people should see your work. We make a good team, Mia said. You believe in me. I believe in you. Partners, I said. Partners, she agreed. My sophomore year started with new confidence. I officially declared my major as art history with a minor in museum studies. I was moving into an off-campus apartment, a tiny studio I could barely afford, but that was all mine. Mia helped me move in. We carried boxes up 3 flights of stairs, arranged furniture, hung artwork on the walls. It's perfect, she said when we were done. Very you. I was hoping you'd spend a lot of time here, I said meaningfully. She smiled. I think that can be arranged. We'd been together for almost 2 years now. In that time, we'd faced so many challenges. Coming out, dealing with judgment, navigating an age gap relationship, surviving long distance. But we'd made it through all of it. Stronger, more sure of each other and ourselves. One October evening, the anniversary of the day we met, Mia took me back to that small town where we'd spent our first weekend away together. We checked into the same inn, got the same room. But this time felt different. Less uncertain. More settled. After dinner, we went for a walk in the snow. It was falling heavily now, covering everything in white silence. I have something to ask you, Mia said, stopping in the middle of the street. My heart started pounding. Okay. When you graduate, she said, in 2.5 years, what do you want to do? I want to work in a gallery, I said. Curate exhibitions. Maybe eventually open my own space. In the city? Probably, I said. Where else would I go? Well, Mia said, reaching into her pocket. I was thinking, maybe we could do it together. She pulled out a key. A simple brass key on a keyring. What's this? I asked. I found a space, she said. A building in the arts district. Big enough for a gallery on the first floor and a studio on the second. It needs work, but it has potential. I stared at her. Are you saying? I'm saying let's build something together, Mia said. Your gallery, my studio, our dream. When you graduate, if you want to, we could make this happen. Tears filled my eyes. You want to go into business together? I want to build a life together, Mia corrected. The business is just part of it. I threw my arms around her. Yes. Yes, absolutely yes. She laughed, spinning me around in the snow. Yeah. Yeah, I confirmed. Let's build our dream. The next 2.5 years flew by. I finished my degree while working part-time at Patricia's gallery, learning everything I could about running an art space. Mia worked on the building, slowly transforming it from a rundown warehouse into something beautiful. She sent me progress pictures constantly. New walls, fresh paint, the perfect lighting she'd installed. My parents came to visit regularly now. They'd fully accepted our relationship, accepted Mia as part of the family. My mom even took painting lessons from Mia, discovering a hidden talent. Emma and I stayed close despite the distance. She'd come out as bisexual her sophomore year, and we'd bonded over shared experiences. She was graduating this year too, pursuing social work. We did it, she said at my graduation party. We survived and thrived. We did. I agreed, looking around at all the people I loved. My parents, Emma, my college friends, and Mia, always Mia, standing at the edge of the group, smiling at me. After graduation, I moved into the building. The gallery space was almost done. Mia's studio upstairs was perfect. And in between, we'd created a small living space. Our home. What should we call it? I asked, looking at the empty gallery. Mia thought for a moment. What about Willow Gallery? A reminder of where we started. Willow Gallery, I said, testing it out. I love it. We spent the summer preparing for the opening. I curated the first exhibition, featuring queer artists from around the region. Mia painted new pieces. We worked side by side, building something beautiful together. Opening night was in September. 3 years and 11 months since that October day when I'd first walked into Mia's studio. The gallery was packed. Art lovers, collectors, critics, friends, family. Everyone who'd supported us on this journey. I stood at the entrance, watching people stream in, looking at the art, celebrating queer creativity and love. My parents were there, dressed up, so proud. Emma was there with Rachel, now her fiancé. Patricia was there, beaming like a proud mentor. Martha from Creekside Cafe had made the drive from Willow Creek. And Mia. Mia stood next to me, wearing a beautiful dress, her hair down, looking more confident and joyful than I'd ever seen her. "We did it," I said to her. "We did it," she agreed. Later, when the crowd had thinned, when it was just us and a few close friends remaining, Mia clinked her glass. "I want to say something," she announced. 4 years ago, I moved to Willow Creek thinking my life was over. Thinking I'd hide from pain and never risk my heart again. But then this incredible, brave, beautiful person walked into my studio. And she changed everything. She looked at me. "Elena, you taught me that love is worth the risk. That visibility matters. That hiding keeps us safe, but living openly sets us free. You helped me become the person I was always meant to be." I was crying now, happy tears streaming down my face. "And I want to keep building this life with you," Mia continued. "Not just this gallery, but everything. A home, a future, a life full of art and love and truth." She reached into her pocket and pulled out a small box. My heart stopped. "I know we can't legally marry yet in most places," she said. "But I don't need the law to tell me you're my partner, my love, my home. So Elena." She opened the box, revealing 2 simple silver bands. "Will you commit to building this life with me? Will you be mine as I am yours?" I couldn't speak, could only nod, tears flowing freely. She slipped one ring on my finger, and I slipped the other on hers. Then we kissed, surrounded by our friends, our family, our art, our life. "Yes," I finally managed to say. "Forever, yes." The gallery thrived. We hosted exhibitions monthly, showcasing emerging artists, telling diverse stories, creating space for voices that often went unheard. Mia's work was shown in galleries across the country. She'd become known for her powerful pieces about queer identity and love. But she always came home to Willow Gallery, to the studio upstairs, to me. I became the curator I dreamed of being. Discovering new talent, helping artists tell their stories, making art accessible to everyone. We went back to Willow Creek every year on the anniversary of the day we met. We'd visit the old studio, walk across Willow Bridge, have coffee at Creekside Cafe. The town had changed some, become more accepting, more open. There were even a few other openly gay couples now. We like to think we'd helped pave that path. My relationship with my parents had only grown stronger. They loved Mia like a daughter. They came to every exhibition opening, supported every dream. One autumn evening, 5 years after we'd opened the gallery, Mia and I sat on the roof of our building, watching the sun set over the city. "Do you ever regret it?" I asked. "Leaving Willow Creek? Taking a chance on a 17-year-old girl who walked into your studio?" Mia pulled me close. "Never. Not for a single moment. You were the best thing that ever happened to me." "You were the best thing that ever happened to me too," I said. "You helped me become myself." "We helped each other," she corrected, like she always did. Below us, the city bustled with life. The gallery's sign glowed in the dimming light. Inside, our latest exhibition celebrated love in all its forms. We'd built something beautiful. Not just the gallery, but a life. A real, honest, authentic life. I thought about that scared 17-year-old girl who'd walked into an art studio looking for paintings for a school project, who'd had no idea who she was or what she wanted. I thought about the heartbroken artist who'd hidden her truth, who'd given up on love. And I looked at who we'd become. Partners in life and art. 2 women who'd found each other and chosen each other, over and over again. "I love you," I said to Mia. "I love you too," she replied. Always and forever. The sun set completely, painting the sky in shades of pink and orange and gold. A new night was beginning. But we weren't afraid of the darkness. We had each other. We had our art. We had our truth. And that was more than enough. That was everything. This is my story. This is our story. This is the story of finding yourself, finding love, and finding the courage to live authentically. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for watching Sapphic Story Hour. Please like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments. Until next time, bye-bye.